that not
debate.
contradictory? Is that not conflicting? Is that not contradictory? Like fighting all the time for you to have the right to work, and now you want to fight even to have the right not to work if you don't want to?
Yeah, no, no. So what I'm saying is, the fight was for women to work, and now there are many feminists here. The same people now about Arab women who wear the hijab. They're saying, why do they wear that? They shouldn't wear that because it's oppression. So I'm like, it's their culture. If they want to wear it, they should wear it. If a woman does not want to wear it, she does not. She should not wear it. But it does not have to be us telling people what to wear or not to wear. Even I think it is in France. They had a huge discussion about this hijabs, saying they should wear it
Yeah.
in public, they should not wear it in public. So you cannot talk about uh, freedom and then say the freedom should be had the way you want it, the white way. No, the freedom should be had with everyone's particularity, cultural, religious differences, respecting them. For me, equality does not mean that we have all to look alike. It means that we have to have equal opportunity in our existence.
All right. How are you today, Yohamin?
Doing fine, thank you.
Perfect. It's a pleasure for me. You're welcome to Pedro Apollo's podcast. And it's a pleasure for me, like I was just saying later on, to be able to interview you today. And it has
My
been a thing that
pleasure.
I've been looking forward to ever since the day I met you, due to our discussions and everything, and getting to know you better these few months has
Yes,
been a great thing, and a thing of an honor for me as well. I like your work ethics, your determination, and your go-getter attitude, which is something that is not easy to get back these days. So I really
yes.
appreciate you for all of that. And above all, you are a
Thanks for
feminist.
yes,
That
I am.
and that's something kind of crazy. Being black, Italian, and a feminist, I have a lot of curiosity in my mind, and I'm happy that we are doing this. And it's going to be a great occasion, both for myself and my followers, our viewers, to be able to get to know not only who is Yohamin Teshome Kumbi, but as well getting to know what it is like in the mind of a black feminist, an African descent, living in Europe, that boldly claim to be a feminist. I would like to know a lot about you, and I'm just using this occasion to really thank you for giving me this opportunity, because it's not easy. I don't want to take it for granted at all. And to set the ball rolling for my viewers and who may not know you, who exactly is
Yes.
Yohamin Teshome Kumbi?
Who am I? Oh,
Yeah,
that's a very difficult question. It's not simply answerable. Firstly, because I'm a woman, and as you know, women are complex. We are not
good.
simple, very, very simple. We have many, many layers. So,
I'm glad that you said that yourself.
thank you. It's very true. It's very, very
Yeah,
true, generally
that's
speaking. And
of
yes, so how do I present myself? Okay, my name is Yohamin Teshome, and I live in Milan. I was born in Eritrea, and then I grew up in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and then I came to Italy starting from my university. I did here my university studies, and so it's been almost 20 years now here.
That's
What
that's a
is
lovely
Milan is,
one. That's a lovely one. I well, for those
yes,
that may not know you as well, you are not only someone living here in Italy, you've over the years worked with a lot of both local and international organizations. You are officially a member of UNIRE as well, an association of refugees that live here in Italy that are into advocacy, which myself is a member as well. And you have an association called La Mia Parte. The name
yes.
alone is very interesting. What do you exactly do with La Mia Parte?
So, La Mia Parte, we chose the name uh, because it means I do my part. So, I do my little part
Okay.
because I think that if each one of us does the little part for the community, many things
Mm-hmm.
could change. The whole world could change if all of us did our little part. So, that's what we
Yeah.
try to do. It's an association where the board, they basically, um, the management is all women. We are so three women,
Mm-hmm.
Ethiopian and Eritrean. So it's women, young, and of migrant with migrant and refugee background. That's our association's uh, management. So
Molto
that's one
bene.
thing we like. Yes, because we founded it because mostly on migrant and refugee issues work people who've never been migrants or refugees, so they have
Mm-hmm.
the they learned all the knowledge that you learn from a master's degree, from university degree or working, but they don't have the lived experience. And
Yes.
we think that for the best, it should be lived experience and learned experience, because just because you are a refugee, it doesn't mean that you can have an association and do a great project. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, just because you studied migration at university is not enough to understand the multicultural layers and the multiple layers also of being a
Yeah.
migrant or a refugee. mm, Brings with it, living in a new country, adjusting to a new way of life, adjusting to new works, what it means also as even as work ethics. So mm, it's very different. Also, the social life is different. So
Mm-hmm.
we think that these people should be at the center. Migrants and refugees should be at the center of the analysis, research, and decision making. That's why we founded this association.
Complimenti, like they say in Italy. Complimenti veramente. That's a very lovely one.
Grazie, Pedro.
That's a very
Yes,
lovely
uh,
one. Yeah.
me myself, I had Uh, I was born in Eritrea. As I told you, when I was 9 years old, there was war between Eritrea and Ethiopia, and there was also the
Mm-hmm.
independence of Eritrea because they were fighting to be independent. So when Eritrea
Yeah.
won, I was also there. So I was also celebrating in Eritrea. But then my family was of origin of Ethiopia, so we had to leave and go to Addis Ababa. So I had to
Okay.
change totally country. So I know what it means to leave a place, to live in war, because the last year we were living in a city that was in war, and to live
Mm-hmm.
without nothing in the country, and create yourself a new life, which
From
I
the
did again
scratch
in
again, like
Italy.
they would say.
Yeah,
Starting afresh from the scratch. Thank you so much for, I mean, giving us opening a little window into your personal life for myself and our viewers. It's really very important because nothing stops me from going into the topic of the day, but I said it is important that at least whoever is listening to us get to know exactly at least the biography of the person talking. When hearing
Yes,
it
of
from
course.
your own mouth is very, very important as well. So
Yes,
you migrated from your country, Eritrea, to Italy when you were 9 years old. You've grown up today, and I will consider you, apart from your background, majority of your experience has been here in Europe. Not only are you a migrant, you are a black person, and you boldly claim that you are a woman as well. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here because I know, like you said
yes,
earlier on, there could be a lot of layers to this thing. So being able
of
to
course,
identify as a woman is something that is important as well in this day and age. Not only are you
of
that,
course.
you are black as well, an African descent, and above all else, you are a feminist. So my question, therefore, is what exactly is feminism? What makes one a feminist?
Okay. So, well, thank you, Pedro. Well, feminism is a movement born for women's rights. It's a women that stated that women's rights are human rights. Women are human beings, so they should also have the same rights as men. Well, we said in 2024, it seems obvious, but back then it was not. It was not. Because women could not vote, women could not work. This is, and we are talking about Europe. So uh, that's why women decided to fight for their rights, and they called for social, cultural, economical, political equality between the sexes. Um, so they wanted to work, they wanted to vote, they wanted to decide on their lives. If I do not want to get married, I don't want to get married. This is one, for example. Because back then, you were as a woman, being married was on
Mm-hmm.
your almost your only choice. Otherwise, for example, you can be a nun, or you can go to a monastery, or you can work as a maid in somebody who is rich. You know, so
Okay.
these things that seem obvious to us now in Europe, they were not back then. That's why this movement was born. And of course, this movement has changed a lot from then to now. They gained the suffrage, so the right to vote, the right to work, um, the right to decide on your life. These are really great conquers, I think, and I also believe in that. So even though it's born in Europe as feminism as an idea, I believe that women's rights are human rights, and women should also enjoy equal rights as men. So that is why I am a feminist.
Thank you so very much. You in your explanation of what feminism is all about, you said you made some emphasis concerning the right of being able to vote, the right to decide one's direction in life. Like if you want to get married, it should be a choice that you made as a woman on your own, not being coerced or being forced to go into that direction, either forced or indirectly forced to go into that direction. These things are very, very lovely. And you made mention of the fact as well that women's rights are human's rights, which sound
Yes,
very interesting to me. But if I have to look back into where I am coming from, and our discussion today, for argument's sake, has to do with people of African descent in diaspora, because
yes,
I'm really curious to know how can a woman, a black, an Italian for that matter, be a feminist, knowing the story of our experience back home. Just like you said earlier on, when I believe when there was war in Eritrea, they were not making any distinction of who is a man and who is a woman in terms of denying the right to those that were in that circumstances. So that begs the question, even listening to your explanation as well, at a point in time, it was important that women fight for this right. Then we are now in 2024. Like you yourself said, some things are very obvious. I am in a confusion personally as a man and being of an African descent living here in Europe. I am confused and curious to know what exactly are those rights that I have that you do not have as a woman. That is one curiosity of that in my mind. And secondly, there is another aspect that being an African, knowing our story, worries me personally in my mind, in the sense that you said that this idea was birthed in Europe, but you genuinely believe it will be helpful or is helpful to every woman around the world. But Yohamin, in less than 17 years ago, my country was still under colonialism. And in colonialism, we were all under the British colony. There was
Yes,
no clear distinction between how the colonialists treated the men in my country better than the women. We don't have any evidence of such from where I'm coming from. So I am asking this question specifically as an African, knowing for
yes,
fact how the story of my country was even up to about 64 years ago, because we actually got independence as Nigerian. I'm being specific here, which is the
yes,
situation of most African countries. Up to about 64 years ago, we were under colony. We couldn't even move, and everybody was equal as far as the colonial masters are concerned. So, feminism, don't you think is another European or colonialist idea, especially taking into consideration women were able to vote in Europe, this universal suffrage right for women and everything. Meanwhile, both women and men in my country could vote. They don't even have their country of their they don't even have a country of their own, not more or less to talk about holding an election to decide their future and everything. So
of course.
can one, as an African, how do I differentiate between this idea being a colonialist idea, another scam, another idea just to govern my life?
Of course.
Is this really something for me? The idea of
That's a great question.
feminism?
Yeah, that
I'm
is a great
curious,
question.
please.
Yeah, this, yeah, it's a great question. Is this for me? It's, I think this is a question that every woman of African descent could ask and should ask. And the questions you made sense. So, well, I'll go back to the start. I said women's rights are human rights, and human rights are universal. So, as for many other things, many other rights that are, in the narrative are
Mhm.
European or Western ideas,
Yes.
I believe that they are universal. Human rights is universal. It's not a Western idea. It may be that history has made it such that in those years it was the West pushing those ideas forward, especially after the Second World War. The new world order was done this way. But it doesn't mean that human rights are a Western idea. They are universal. Same goes for women's rights. So, what you say, it's very interesting because it has already happened, the questions that even non-white women, because feminism was
Mhm.
it was called just feminism. Then it was called classic feminism. But then in the 60s, there was the second wave that spoke about the sexuality of, women, domestic violence, reproductive rights. So there was a second wave that revised the first wave, and it was middle class women, it was white middle
Mhm.
class women. So it was
Okay.
the second wave was led by white middle class women. What does it mean? What did this bring? It brought that feminism uh, did not become really uh, internationally known as an international movement. It was brought forward by these people. So other women were receiving feminism as an idea that came from the West, as a Western idea. But for me
Yes.
personally, the way I live it, as everything in my life that I take saying because I am a bit multicultural as a person. From every culture, I see what's good and what's bad. So, for example, talking about feminism, there is this new wave now. It's called intersectional feminism.
Okay.
So it means that this feminism says feminism should be only seen as white people see it. Feminism should also include women, women who are black women, women who are Arab women, women who are from other ethnic minority groups. Why was this said? Because uh, many activities, many narratives that feminist women were bringing forward
Mm-hmm.
indirectly had this paternalistic, colonialistic way of looking at other women, women who were not Western. And
Yes.
without knowing exactly the cultural relevance of certain decisions or attitudes of women who were not white, they were judging and they were saying this should not happen. So those other women were like, okay, we also want our rights because women's rights are human rights. I will see it. So they also believe they don't think that they don't have rights, but they say, please listen to us too. Eh, on this, I can speak. For example, I can give you an example. Um, when like African dances,
Mhm.
you have to move
Yes.
your waist, you have to move your behind, and they see this and they say, oh, and that's the culture. There's nothing vulgar about it. But for a
Yes.
typical feminist woman from the first wave, who
Mm-hmm.
that's like you are putting your sexuality out there from the classical feminist point of view. And that is not good. Why is that? That is because the first feminist women, they had to delete their sexual part, their sensuality, their way of being a bit feminine. They had to delete it
Mm-hmm.
to show to other men that they were not only sexual beings; they were also people who could think, people who could do, people who could do sports. So not because they didn't have it, but to show to men that they were not only that. They were, if you remember, they would even dress more manly. You know, they would dress more manly. They would not put makeup. They would cut their hair. So all this was done because there was a wall, and they needed to break it. When you need to break a wall, you cannot knock. So what they did back then could have been good for them because then they need to work. But then that attitude now should change because the wall has been broken down. The first thing was done. They can work and they can walk. That being said, the second wave said we want to live our sexuality normally. We don't want to be like covering our sexuality as women just because we are feminists. And that's the second wave. In fact, also, you know, uh, the 90s also, many things changed because in the 90s, if you remember the Destiny's Child, Beyonce and the Destiny's Child, and other
Mm-hmm.
singers were talking about they were not dressing as men, they were dressing in a feminine way, but they were saying, I can do it, independent woman. The song said, I'm a woman, I can do it, I am independent, still looking like a woman, like in a feminine way, I want to say. Not that there is only way to. So um, this is to say that uh, many people are angry. Many people who are not white are angry with feminism, with the classical feminism, because it does not consider their particularities. That there are many cultures. The world has many cultures. So feminism should not be applied only by your way. Otherwise, it's a paternalistic way. Even here in Italy, there are some feminists who say, why are these girls dressing with shorts? Some cultures they really dress very short
Yes.
um, dresses, and it's their culture. So let them be, but tell this woman to get educated. If she wants to pursue a job, to go for it, to protect herself, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
protect herself, her dignity, her body, to cherish herself. But then the
Yes.
decision of what she does is hers. I'll tell you the contrary of this paradigm. The contrary is the same feminists who have fought saying my body is mine, because one of the fights that went on in the 60s, 70s, is my body is mine. It was about abortion. Women could abort or could not abort. They were saying my body is mine. Do not decide on what I do with my body. So they were saying a woman can do what she wants with her body. The same people are now saying women should dress like this, women should not dress like this. The same people who are the classical white feminists who say, when is it when a woman gets raped, she has to explain what she was wearing. That should not be an issue, what she's wearing, because it's the person who rapes you who's responsible for his act, not what you were wearing. So she should be free.
Mm-hmm.
The same people now, about Arab women who wear the hijab, they're saying, why do they wear that? They shouldn't wear that because it's oppression. So I'm like, it's their culture. If they want to wear it, they should wear it. If a woman does not want to wear it, she should not wear it. But it does not have to be us telling people what to wear or not to wear. Even I think it's in France, they had a huge discussion about this hijabs, saying they should wear it
Yeah.
in public, they should not wear it in public. So you cannot talk about uh, freedom and then say the freedom should be had the way you want it, the white way. No, the freedom should be had with everyone's particularity, cultural, religious differences, respecting them. For me, equality does not mean that we have all to look alike. It means that we have to have equal opportunity in our existence.
That's so true. Thank you so very much for your answer. And listening to you is all the points that you touch and everything is baffling, really, to believe that first of all the waves and series of feminism that has taken place in the world, and
Yes,
describing the first, second, third wave, there is a huge contradiction even in the way they see things themselves from the very things that you explain actually. And considering the things the way you describe it, I am curious to know, even with the way things stand today. Let's take the last example you just gave, the debate in the French society, if people should go with their hijab or not in public places and everything. France,
yes,
in the Western context, is recognized as one of the most liberal society, where they talk about
yes.
liberté, égalité, and I don't remember the last one that they
Fraternité,
cite,
yes.
fraternity. They always cite those things as one of the foundation as one of the foundational society as far as freedom is concerned in Western world. And I make
Yes,
emphasis to it about being Western world because I, for one, maybe perhaps because I'm an African, I don't believe that a
yes,
society that really believe in liberty, freedom, and fraternity will go out to colonize other parts of the world. This is my opinion,
of
and
course
I
not.
really don't believe that a free society do that. However, considering the way things in one of the most liberal society in Western world that has to do with hijab and everything, do you think with the way things stand today, we have evidence to prove that feminism is of any benefit to any woman out there outside of the Western world? Have there been as an African woman, even in diaspora, do we have evidence to pinpoint and present to ourselves and say it is because of feminism that this dear sister from Malawi has been able to do this or that?
Oh, thank you. Now that's an interesting question. Well, I'll start talking about in general. I will not talk about feminism just, but women's rights. That's well, countries where women's rights are respected and the gender gap is lower, even the GDP is better. So this has been proved. Also, countries that educate their women have countries with a better life qualities. That is because educated women then they will get better jobs, and the money they get, women they spend it on more positive things. Normally, the women will go look for healthier things. You know, they try to eat better. Even women, the moment they work, usually I remember now in Ethiopia in Addis Ababa, the women once they work,
Mm-hmm.
they had little money in the evening, they would go for evening school to better themselves. We, because they want to better themselves for themselves to get a better job, and also to better themselves for their families to support their families. So women, when they have work, they try to do it better because they also have the so-called soft skills and a way of thinking that is less competitive. It's not
Mm-hmm.
always so because we've also had Margaret Thatcher, but normally women have this way of collaborating. It's like it's more of a community. So when a woman has power, she tries to use it for the community to make the community be better. She does not use it to show that her community is better than another community, which is a very masculine and patriarchal way of thinking. It's very much linked to colonialism too. Colonialism, it's about some countries, some men, mostly white men, because it was the white men that decided back then, deciding that they will make their country bigger, they will go get another country, they will become, greater, larger lands, etc. Women don't think that like that. Women think a lot about quality in the family. So women, countries who have educated women or women who work more, they also have a healthier society because then women who are educated, they will tell their kids to eat better, to exercise better. They have the earning money. They have also the power to decide in the family what to do, so they can tell their kids you can do this. And they are also smart investors. They save money for the family. So this generally speaking, generally speaking, women's rights are better. Now going to what you were asking specifically, which is did feminism bring uh, which advantages it brought to women who are not white, or women who are living abroad. I will tell you, I think for me it would be that these ideas that were affirmed, that were included in international norms, international treaties, having those ideas uh, written, yes, as universal, but then trickling down into country laws, I think that's a great help because many countries had to respect the international laws, so had to include also women's rights uh, in their legislations. So legislatively speaking, this help, and that is why many women they would go to school. In the new world, women would go to school, would go to universities, would work, would vote. So I think it helped this way. It helped very much this way. That it was in the international treaties and it trickled out to the countries. This being said, uh, does white feminism always help women who are not white? Not always. I'll tell you something. Like for me, very weird. Like in Italy, uh, for many years, people from East Europe, from Ukraine, from Russia, from Romania, and Romania is now in the community, but before they were not. They would come
Mm.
to Italy and other European Western countries with their degrees. These women had degrees. They were highly qualified women, and they would be cleaning houses and being badantes, so taking care of the elderly of other women.
Yeah.
Among these other women, there were also the middle class ones. Some women, you say, okay, there were women who were not feminists, they were like normal women. They would tell them, I have a job, and they would work. Many white feminists who are very highly educated for many, many years, you can say decades, had their houses cleaned by ladies who were educated at high level. This is not a bad thing, huh? Because if you need a job, I will give you. So I'm not
Of
saying
course.
they should not have had done that. What I'm saying is you did it the first year, the second year, the third year. If you are a real feminist, and feminism, I'll go back to my idea, is not only white, it's not only Western, it's about women's rights universal. So if you think all women in the whole universe have the same rights, how come after 1 year that you know that women, none of you has said, "Let me help you get a degree." None of you started advocacy, started campaigns to say, "Let us free these women. Let us
Mm-hmm.
change the legislations." For example, in Italy, there are many engineers who've been cleaning houses for 20 years, women, or doctors. How come if so? Your feminism, without knowing it, because I don't think that these women are racist on purpose. It's what is called it's called internalized racism. It's like when you have it and you don't even know it, because they will tell you, okay, I will help. If they say women doctor, that is like an African women doctor, they'll be like, wow, they'll be happy. But when they have an at-home clinic, they don't think about it. So I say, are you really convinced that the women's rights should be for all rights, or are you internally convinced that this women's rights should be only for white women? This is my question, and my question is what I'm asking myself, and I keep telling my people.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we founded our association, La Mia Parte, because we want people, not only women, even men, who have degrees in Italy to work in their profession. So we also do Italian, specialized in the language. So this is why I'm saying it's also up to us women who are not white to tell those women, you are going here, you should include everyone. In fact, the whole idea of intersectional feminism is that feminism should include all women, not only white women, all women's power. Another thing is uh, there should be sisterhood at international level. So if a woman in another country has issues, you see this the women here, the feminists will go out and will say, "Oh, in Iran, women are facing this and this and this," when the news are talking about that. But women are facing this everywhere. So you should not be following. You should go for Iran women, but you should also go for other women in the whole world, not only for what the Western media says. Okay, and that is being internationalist. Care about all women, not only about the women that are politically interested in this period of time. So another thing is letting them talk. Many speak for migrant women. Let these migrant women talk. Many speak for other women who are in other countries. And for example, we spoke a lot for Afghan women, you know, in their situation. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
then when the West abandoned Afghanistan, nobody went of this feminist wave. 1 month we complained and then nothing happened. So it should be real. That's what I'm saying. It should be real and international, caring about women, not selling.
And it is in line with what you've just said. That's the reason why I asked the question. If for a fact we have evidence that we can point to because of feminism, other women outside of the European context are better off. That is yet to be seen from the things you explained, because speaking generally, almost everything is in order, everything is okay. It's like describing democracy. If you the the simple the simple definition of democracy, for instance, is having the ability to vote. That is the people of a given country deciding themselves, one man, one vote, deciding who should be their leaders, who should be their representative. If you turn the definition to suit me, because I believe democracy is like this, it become a different thing entirely. So if we said, using that analogy, if we said feminism is all about women's rights, and with things I have seen here in Europe, and the things I have seen where I'm coming from, and the things that we all know generally, one begs to ask the question, why is feminism, or how is feminism benefiting other non-white women, to be very honest? That is one
Yeah,
question that I believe we as a society, or whoever is beating their hands on their chest claiming to be a feminist, should genuinely ask themselves, because living in hypocrisy is not really a good thing to behold by those that are really
of
suffering.
course.
And to really
Well,
explain my point, I will make an example about the society that you and I live, Italy. I don't see any particular law apart from the welfare programs that are generally open to the female folks, which they partake from on an average. I don't see a particular law that favors a migrant male person than a migrant female person. The same law, the same way the law treats a Nigerian man is the same way they treat a Ghanaian woman. It does not make any distinction. So, really, Yohamin, if I came from Africa today and I have lived here in the last 5 years in Italy, I have seen the changes of law, cultural law, or whatever law that is there that is actually
yes,
affecting my life as a migrant. Of what use
yes,
is feminism to me?
yes.
Meanwhile, I do
I,
not see female going down the street protesting to be able to protect my right as a woman. I'm
yes.
confused here. Imagine telling an African daughter today that just arrived in this European context. Let us even leave Africa, for instance. It's even too far away. In this very society that we live in, why should an African descent become a feminist like you?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. It just brings us back to what I was saying before. Yeah, why should an African woman be a feminist? Especially if she's a diaspora, if she has come here, if she has seen that she's been treated uh, not equally even by other white feminist women. Because many people from the diaspora, even black Italians, sometimes they join the feminist movement and then they say, I cannot stay there because I feel that I am not recognized, my peculiarities are not
Wow. I
recognized.
I didn't even know about this. I just make my personal rough observation. I didn't even know there is already an evidence and experience of this nature. Thank you for sharing that with us. I didn't know about this even.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Like, and they understand this because they will say, I will go to this group, which is feminist women. I will say I'm a black Italian, and then I go there and my peculiarities are not recognized, and even there I am discriminated. So for me, I was also surprised because uh, I would not expect that from a real feminist. This still, I'm sorry that I will be very, very repetitive. It's just that I'm a very flexible person, but with principle and ideas, I have some liners. And I will go back to that because I repeat, I will still be a feminist because feminism is not something of the West. We don't have to think about it as white women's idea. We have to think about it. It's a movement that protects women's rights and human rights. I will be part of it and I will change it. I will apply it to myself in my life as I fit. I will not take it as it was first classical. I will not take it as the second wave only. I will not take it as the third wave because the third wave also includes other gender identity issues. It
Mm-hmm.
includes the sex work debate. There's also a debate about sex work between feminists. Those who say a woman, her body should do sex work, or those who say no, sex work is not good for your dignity, so she should not say it. So there's many layers of feminism. So you can't say it's like a democracy. There's many ways to apply it. There's many ways to better it. So as many things in my life, I say I believe in feminism as the first original idea of thinking women rights are human rights and women should have equality for social, cultural, economical, political issues. Not that we have to be equal to men. I always say I do not want to be equal to men or to be a man because equality should be about equal opportunity, but not about being the same. But still, I think you don't have to throw something away because it's not perfect. You have to work on it. Feminism is like democracy. It's not perfect, but I will not throw it away. I will work with it. I will change it. In fact, some people say black feminism. Some people say intersectional feminism because it should consider also other women. So they change the name, but still uh, believe that women's rights are human rights. So I'm telling you, if as a diaspora black woman in Italy, I say okay, I am a black Italian. I don't feel accepted by the feminist movement in all my beings. What will I do? I will speak up. I will talk to these people. I will tell them, please do consider this also. So what I will do is talk and tell them I agree with you on women's rights issues, but also do listen to me. And I'm telling you, this is not only with black feminists that's happening. It's also happening with classical feminists from the 60s, etc., who are old ladies now, and the very young generation. Because Italy has
Mm-hmm.
experienced those women who fought for the votes, real fighters uh, who had to close their femininity. So even if you go there, I am also a member. When I go there, like if you have makeup, too much makeup, even is not really well seen. There's been the way where the women are like, I am independent, but I am also a woman, so I will dress and put makeup as I want. And there is now the very new generation, they are like from 16, 20, 21,
Yeah.
who started calling themselves feminist again. Because before that, we had a generation in the last 15 years um, that were not fighting for women's rights anymore because they said in Italy we vote, we work, we can have an abortion, we can have freely sex. What more do we want? And they stopped fighting for their rights. And now in this last 2 years, if you have noticed in Italy, women's
Mm-hmm.
rights are being reconsidered. Lately they are saying that abortions cannot be had. There are many decisions by judges on abortion that they say if it was only 10 seconds, it's not okay. If it was only 20 seconds, it's not working. How was she dressed? So we're going backwards. Why is that? They saw that women have stopped fighting because they're like, it's all okay. So the new generation, those who are from 16 to 2021, is the generation that did not watch TV. So they were on social media. They also speak even English. They speak better English normally. In Italy, English is not that much important. This generation are going out because they have an international site. They go online. They see other. They're going out and they're saying, I am a feminist, but they're being feminist in a new way, in a way that includes other women too, in a way that says, let's speak other women. So I like this very, very young women. And these very young women, they don't speak to the others who are 60, 70 years old, anything. And it's one of the
Okay.
things I
There
tell,
is a
for
generational
me,
gap too.
yes. And for me, I go among all. I go to the feminists who are black, I go to the feminists who are young, I go to the feminists who are 60 years old, those who are 40 years old, uh, and I talk to all of them. Because for me, I want to see how they all think. And then I want to find my own angle. I think in life, you should also
Of
find
course.
your own
Of course.
idea of reasoning now. So for me, being a feminist should be not being a classical white feminist, but a diaspora woman should still fight even more than others because she's facing feminism in a fiercer way. Because a black woman uh, has two problems. She's black and she has two, black and women. Sorry for the word problem. I mean, the fact that you are black and the fact that you are woman, it brings you the
No,
problem
I
of
understand. I understand you. I mean, it is for argument's sake. You are trying to explain yourself,
exactly,
so I believe our listeners will be
exactly,
able to understand it as well.
exactly. So for this, you are being judged doubly. You can ask any woman in Italy, any black Italian or any migrant woman who's going around with around, if she's walking around somewhere where there's no men, a car will stop. It had happened to me 2, 3 times. I'm like, what the heck is happening here? Because if you have long braided hair, they think that you are a prostitute. Why? We don't know. We do not know.
That's
So
so true.
the and for me, like couple of times, I'm like, do you need like when somebody call me, you think that they need directions, so you just go and
Direction.
talk to them because you want to be polite. And then I'm like, what the heck is happening? So you can ask many women. I'm sure this has not happened to me. It has happened to my friends also. So if you are black, you are being judged by being black, and then you are being judged also by being a black woman. So if you are a black woman, it's like a double condition that puts more judgment on you. So they're going to think that you are a prostitute. If you are not a prostitute, even there will be another other judgments on you for sure. Um, and this condition puts you uh, to live in prejudice as a woman, but also in more prejudice uh, as a black woman. And you will
Yes.
suffer when you see that all these feminist white women also, they do not listen to you when they say, for me it happened, okay, let me tell you something. It happened to me at work 2, 3 times that I had feminist colleagues that were really fighters, for women's rights. And they would
Mm-hmm.
do the same things they complained about to me. And then when they complained, I agreed with them. And I'm like, this is the same thing. If you say that these men are not listening to you or giving attention to your words because you are a woman, I mean, even if they are aware they are women, so the men do not listen to them. Don't do the same thing to me. It's not that because I'm black, you don't have to listen to me. Even if my idea seems out of the box, it is out of the box because culturally I am richer than you. You see things in a certain way, which is the Western way. Me, I see things the Western way and the non-Western way because being multicultural is a richness if you know
Of course.
how
A
how
huge
how
plus.
to take information from it. Exactly. For me, I
Absolutely.
only choose which is bad and which is good. I don't want to harm anybody, so I choose any cultural aspect that does not harm other people, and I apply it to myself, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
good. Which if I think it's bad, I don't apply. So if I see things from another way, please do listen to me, especially if you are working with migrant women or women who maybe they are Italian but they have an other origins, Arab origins or African origins. When I tell you this person sees things in a different way, let's consider this. Let's talk to her this way, not this way. Do listen to me, and they do not listen. So this is to tell you sometimes we talk about rights, we understand faults only when they are made to us, when we are victims, but we should also listen. I think this is a big problem. This is a big problem. People have stopped listening to other people. There's a lot of polarization, which is
That's so true.
poverty. It's mental
That's so
poverty.
true. Yes,
Yeah,
that's so true. That's so true. You made mention of the fact earlier on when you made an example of colonialism that the white men they left here, they decide to colonize other countries and the rest. There is just one thing that I do not agree with it. What I do not agree with it is that it is only white men that left. When it comes to colonialism, there is no distinction between men and women. Europeans came and they made a decision. They built a society in a society that was already existing and they colonized it. My country, Nigeria, the name was given to it by the girlfriend of not even official girlfriend, what they will call
mm,
today a side chick, a lover, who was a
yeah.
journalist. It was not even official wife, official girlfriend. It's the
I did not
person
know
that,
this.
yeah, of course, the person that he flirts with, he cheats with or whatsoever, that gave the name Nigeria that we use today. Because when she gave that name in her description that she wrote and everything, that became the name that we now use today, she was not yet official girlfriend or wife to Lord Lugard, that was the British colonial governor representative in my country as at then. Why am I saying
Yeah,
this? When the British were working in my country, the people that were working and everything, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the or what they now call home country in the UK today, Home Office, they were all populated with both British and men and women. There were no distinction between men and women when it comes to colonial masters in my country. And you cannot find any manifestation or demonstration in any European library today where European women came out and said enough is enough to colonialism. Even in the midst of feminism wave in Europe then, in France and everywhere,
yeah,
no
yeah,
evidence of this is there. So feminism, as far as I'm concerned, fine, I understand all your explanation. And I do buy the idea that you share that we should see it as a movement fighting for women's rights, which is a good thing. But I am not satisfied with it that they actually, with the approach that is being used even in today in 2024, that they do
yeah,
actually think honestly about women that are non-white, or rather it's a fight that have instruments that are not adaptable to non-Western culture. This is how I would describe it in my opinion, from my observation. I am not saying that it's not a good thing. It's a good thing. It should be embraced for what it proposes to do. But
yes,
it the I have not seen any shift in a direction that it will be really, really beneficial to black women in diaspora and not even to those in the motherland. I am saying this using primary example from where I live. In Italy, where I live today, they do not give house
yeah,
to black women. They do not give houses. They don't rent houses to black men. This is not because they love or hate black men more than black women. They just don't do it. We are the same. They don't consider us as people to be given this thing. And there is no law officially promoted by maybe even the female prime minister or other categories of feminism in Italy and
interesting.
everything
Yes,
that really pick up propose laws, try to amend laws to favor people that are really finding life difficult. And these things include both women and children. There is no particular law protecting us from all of these things. Like they have in the United States, which even people here will point finger to. At least in the US, there is what they call Housing Act, whereby they
Yeah.
give, it depends on the number of flats. They make sure that they make some available at least to low income people and the black community as well. That is the purpose of the law. In the condominium, there is a way they do it. So that is to guarantee inclusive society with all the faults of the United States. But at least there are little things like that. And it surprises me to be living in the Western world as well, people that will easily go out to manifest because a black boy was shot in the US. They will be on the streets and everything. But the things that the people living in their midst that are here within your nose, women here can't find a house to keep their children and everything simply because they have the sub Africa sub-Sahara region is a disgrace to the society that we live. It is not a good thing, then I am asking, where are the feminists? I would have
Yes.
loved to see them on. I will be with them on the front line fighting for it. So that brings me to the question: even is there really a reason for feminists to exist today again? And I saying, what are they fighting for? Let me make a very simple analogy. Somebody fighting for the environment, the the kids
Yes.
you see on the road, they say that they are for environment, they block the road, they don't want the cars to pass and everything. At least you know what they are fighting for: environment.
Yes.
Somebody
Yes.
fighting for the sharks, the whales in the ocean, you know what they are fighting for. It is clear and precise. My question therefore is, what are the rights that feminists are fighting for? If our day-to-day life, the things that women faces are not even be tackled, these are things that we can make laws to amend. We are not doing it. So what are feminists fighting? What are the rights they are fighting for? Is it just a competition between men and women that have power, or is there really a genuine concern from feminist group for a particular right that they would like the society, those other women among them, especially for the sake of our discussion, black and brown people in the Italian society to benefit from? Because I don't see it. I'm curious to know, honestly. I'm asking this question in good faith. I don't want you to be offended by it, or anyone listening to, but I really would like to know, what are feminists fighting for in the Italian society? I'm curious because I
Right.
don't
So
know.
yeah, thank you. So I will tell you. Yes, today all the more the reason to be feminist and be when I say be feminist, you can be the feminist in any way you want. Of course, you don't have to be a white feminist or classical feminist. I'm now none of those. Um, but it's the time to be feminist. Especially these last 2 years, many women's rights have been taken away. Um, the political climate is against gender parity now. So you may have seen the news. So this is the moment where fight should be intensified. And in this case, I'm talking about all women in Italy, all women. But then, this being said, uh, black or brown women in Italy, should they continue be a, continue being a feminist? Yeah, they should be it in their own way, but they should also mm, talk. They should talk. They should speak for themselves. They should say if they don't like the word feminist, they can even call it another way. For me, I wouldn't call it another way because it would because there is a serious debate about that. People who want to change
Mhm.
the name totally because it would make it's powerless because it has historical value. So you should also, for example, when it was called intersectional, it means it was feminism, but this time we added women of color, women who are black, women who are brown. We added disabled women who were not included. Then they added LGBTQ women who are not included. So they added many uh, many other minorities who were not included in the classical white feminists. So
Yeah.
now even we can say yes, we have to fight for even the more now because women's rights are being threatened a lot, especially in Italy, but not only in Italy, even other places in Europe. So yes, we should continue being feminist. And I will tell you, but we should speak out more. We should speak up. We should say all the things I was saying before. If you really are a feminist, you should be a feminist for all the women in the world. Respect them all, respect your cultural diversity, listen to their way of being feminist. They want to be a feminist wearing a hijab because that is their culture or their religion, they want to do it. You have to respect them. The only thing about feminism is women's rights. So you should fight for women's rights to work. And I'm telling you, this thing could also be to not to work. Now it came to me one example while saying this about working.
Wow. Is
Another
that not
debate.
contradictory? Is that not conflicting? Is that not contradictory? Like fighting all the time for you to have the right to work, and now you want to fight even to have the right not to work if you don't want to?
Yeah, no, no. So what I'm saying is, the fight was for women to work, and now there are many feminists here who, for example, last time it happened to a group of Egyptian women. I know a journalist stopped
Hmm.
them and like this, and she was asking them, "Do you work?" And they were telling her, "No, we don't work. Our husbands work. We are raising our children." And so the husbands have jobs, shops, they are okay financially. And they're like, okay, so do you have money? Yes, we are okay, we're doing well. And like, so do you have a bank account in your name? Or does your husband take all the money? And they were telling her, no, we do have a bank account in our names. And they were very angry, they almost wanted to cry. They came to me and they're like, this journalist just stopped us and treated us just because we were wearing hijab and are Muslim. She thinks we don't know anything about financial issues, that we don't have any money, and this is not fair. Because for this woman, the thing is, why are you just raising your kids? You should go to work. So some of these women were telling me things that were one of the things that I was already thinking. When you are
Mm.
born as, let's say, an Egyptian origin person here, as a kid, your dad is working, your mom is home, and she's raising you. So she's taking you to school, she's bringing you home, she's being with you in the afternoon. You are getting love, you are care, you are being careful. So if this woman wants to work, let her work, and with the money she can pay the babysitter. If this woman does not want to work, but she wants to take care of her boy or her kids because that's what she wants to do, let her do it. It's not because in Europe women's independence came because of working that she has to leave her kids with a babysitter and go work for a salary that's the same, and
Yes.
maybe even, yeah. And also here a white woman can go work and earn something that she can pay the babysitter with the salary and maybe get something. This one, she's gonna get only cleaning jobs. They're not even going, they tell her go to work, but then they're gonna give her cleaning job, they're not gonna give her a qualified job, which also it has other implications on how you feel as a person, because when you're doing these jobs, they also some of them treat you in a bad way. So these women were like, we are happy, we have our own financial independence, we have the bank account with our husbands, our names are there. What is their problem if we want to raise our children? So for me, I'm the first one who will fight for any woman who wants to work. Me myself, I'm one who wants to work. But this also means if this other woman, for her culture, she wants to raise her children. She doesn't have any financial problem. Let her raise her children. Do not go and put your prejudices on her, saying that she
Mhm.
has to work just because you say so. You know? Also because if you remember, one of the things about working and feminism, it was also linked. That's the problem. Feminism, it was born in Europe, and it was linked to capitalism. They did not let women work because suddenly men had become feminists. They needed women because there was industrialization. Women who were even underage were working. So they said, okay, women now they can work. But not because suddenly they liked women to have freedom. They needed women as workforce. So this is also one of the things. For capitalism, you are workforce or you are a consumer. So this was also linked to that story. But for the Egyptian woman, she does not have this. She does not come from a country where the person is a consumer or a person is a workforce. In her country, when you are a member of the community and you give your part to the community, that is your value. So that's what I mean. Feminism should listen to other people also openly and not judge. I wouldn't do what the life they do, but that doesn't mean that they cannot do it.
That's so true. That's so true. Thank you so very much for your explanation, Guada. Listening to you, especially the example that you just made concerning capitalism and women working, when people have this discussion of feminism, thinking that it is feminism that allow women to work, I always, hello, can you hear
Sorry,
me?
Pedros.
Yes, okay, okay,
Okay, I
good.
lost you, but now I see you.
Good. What I was saying is that in as far as feminism is concerned and women being able to work, it's a trick, it's a game. But most feminism do not know. I like the way you were able to explain it. And there is also important information that people do not share. Women have always worked, but there were some work that were paid for and some that were not paid for. If you look back
Exactly.
into our story, even in the European society, as old as far back as the 13th, 14th century, women were all working with their families in their farms, in their houses, and everything. But if you are not talking about the industrial job, being work and being the the main breadwinner and everything, that's a different ball game entirely. And
Exactly.
it is not true that it is only men that have always lead our society. Even colonialism would not have functioned if the men and women did not unite together. Men cannot do it alone. If you have lived with any man, you know how men operate.
Yeah.
Men on average, not all men on average are strategic. They know they do what they will consider as the main thing and they leave the rest, unfortunately, for every other person other than which is women and other
Yes.
men that cannot operate like them to do the finishing. That is
Yes.
how it is. The administrative job in all the places that were colonized by European society were done by women. They were not
Yes.
done by men. So it is not true that it is only white men that went out to the world to colonize the world. It was a collaborative effort between people of the European society. And when I use the word people with emphasis to the fact that they were both men and women. We cannot continue to push the narrative that it was only the white men, white men, white men, white men. It is practically not true. And coming
Yeah.
from
But
somebody like me, as an African, knowing our story, I can't just put all the blame on the feet of white men when I know for a fact that look, it's something that was done together. I'm not saying this to knock white women, but I just want to correct the narrative that it is not just white men alone that did these things.
yes, but if I can precise something on it, what I
Absolutely.
want to say is not that only the men were coming to colonize, also the women also came and they were there and everything. As you said, even I didn't know they contributed to give names. Um, what I'm saying is the way the main mentality of the patriarchal. the patriarchal mentality. When I
Yes.
give the example men versus women, what I meant is not a man just because he's a man. There's also men who work for non-violence, who are not competitive, uh, who will say we can change things by working as a community. So, on average, women go more for the community. They choose more the well-being of a community, and um, they are eager to let go of some of their requests for the well-being and peace of the community. Men are more driven by the fact of competition. I have to be stronger. So what I meant is this it's called patriarchy basically. Um,
Yes.
it's this way of thinking that you have to be the stronger one, the others are lower than you, the women are lower, the kids are lower, the men should be strong one, but even among the men there should be some strong one. This very patriarchal way of thinking, and this brings me to another reason why I'm feminist profoundly. Is I think that if we would think in the more in the way that women think about community, it's also been proven that even in mediation, when there is wars or conflicts, mediations where women have been part, mostly they're not called, but mediations where women have been part of the process, they are more successful and the peace lasts longer because women know what to ask and they can not only what to ask from the other, but also what to say. Okay, we'll give you this back. Okay, you give us this, and so there is mediation because when there is war, I will tell you, give me this piece of land, you give me that piece of land, or you give me this product. If you're both saying no because I'm stronger, I have the bigger missile, and all these things we hear on media, then it will be just war. But women will say, okay, I'll give this and you give this to me, because they don't have it's not like this need to be always the stronger one. They can put peace first. They can put peace first. And this is about patriarchy, and this is also about colonialism. Uh, I didn't mean that only men came to colonize; also women came, but they came because of this patriarchal way of thinking and seeing the world. Colonialism is part of it. Uh, in fact, even remember during the Vietnam War, when there was some movements. Some of those were feminism, not only feminism, but also other movements. But then people fighting for women's rights, they were also saying the same women, we want, even if they were American, they were saying we want peace now in Vietnam because war is bad, does not bring anything good. Women value peace very much, not because men don't. Men do know the value of peace, but their pride and their need to say I'm stronger is much more stronger than their will to let something go for the well-being of community. This, of course, I'm talking in average, not every man, because I'm talking about the state of mind of patriarchy, not I don't mean men
Okay.
in general, but
No, no,
and that is
no.
why
It's not
feminism
even a
again
problem.
is against patriarchy. There is
Okay.
also
It's not
matriarchy in Africa.
absolutely. It's not even. Look, I agree with you. I agree with you to some extent on that particular aspect, in the sense that if this is my way of saying it, if this was really true today, today, a lot of women in Western society will come out and said no to exploration of cocaine in Congo for us all to have iPhone and everything. They will say
Very good
no
point.
to petroleum that is brought in from all these places that the West go to fight war and bring in the petroleum that we all use to power our
Very good
train,
point.
our plane,
Yes.
our light. The women in France would have said, no, we don't support the idea of Niger supplying us cheap nuclear, whatever, and what they use to
Yes.
power their lights in France and everything. So it is easy for women. for argument's sake, to wash off their hand and say that patriarchy pushes men to go and conquer the world, but I will stay at home in my cozy homes in Western world and enjoy the benefits of the war that our men fought. No,
Yes.
really, I'm just being African here. Anybody can call me whatever they want. I'm saying it the way I say it. If the
What you are
genuinity of,
saying is right, sir. It's
yeah,
hypocrisy is the right word. I agree
and
with you.
because if it is true that
I
women
am
love peace,
smiling not
women.
because I don't agree.
Hello. Oh, it's the network is really bad. Hello, Yohamin. I hope we get her back. Just bear with us. The weather is bad, so the network keep going up and down. Well, like I was saying, if it is true that women need peace around the world, all of those things that are going on would have been taking place. And I really believe that with the power of women, even with the way men think, if women could actually ask for peace in that order, the world would be a peaceful place to live. So I hope that in the future, we can't even wait until the future arrive. I hope that people, women genuinely ask for peace in this order, especially women from these powerful nations, Western world, that can actually put another nation on their knees. Okay. Yeah, now I get you back. Yeah,
Sorry.
no, maybe the Western internet didn't like the thing that I was saying, so they had to cut me off. I know. Just to be clear, I am not anti-West. I live in Italy more than half of my life now, so in Western society, I don't have
No, I
anything against
understand.
it. But yeah,
Same
if
here.
we have the chance, if we have the chance to tell ourselves the truth, let's say it because that's the only way we are going to have a greater and brighter future for ourselves and for those that I will be leaving the world for. So I really mean this, and
Yes.
I have had this argument with some friends and my colleagues and everywhere. We do go out to march. We do go out to march on the streets denouncing war. But we do not go out to march on the street denouncing bringing in the oil from Afghanistan, wherever it is. We don't do it. We don't go out to march denouncing bringing raw materials from these poor countries that will continue to go and make parts with laws, agreements that are not beneficial to those parts of the
Yeah.
world. We don't do it because we are all hypocrites in this, including me as an African descent living in the West.
Yes.
So we enjoy this infrastructure, these facilities that are powered by the destabilization of other societies, and we all keep quiet. We don't complain about it. So that's the reason why I, for one, I can't keep quiet when at times these things are being put on the feet of quote and unquote only the men from that particular society. I'm like, duh, I can see where we are all enjoying the benefit. If we really don't want it, we can say no today. Even these men will not be patriarchal to go and fight to do all of these things. Because women
Yes,
have
I
power
am.
if you
I
want
am
to
with
use
you.
it. Women have
Yeah.
power if
In
you
fact,
want to use it.
yes.
If if
That's what I'm
women really
saying. I
come
was
down the
saying about.
street, good. No,
Sorry.
sorry. If women really go out on the street and tell their government, look, this we don't want it no more, oftentimes the government listen. So if we want
Of course.
equal society where everybody is respected, either brown, black, or white, There are things we need to do, honestly. So I understand you. I heard all the things that you've said. It's quite interesting. I think to some extent I agree with you as a black person, as an African descent living in Europe or Italy, to be very precise. You have the right to be a feminist in the sense that speak up, or like you said, you have me call it whatever you want to call it, but make sure that you speak up for
Exactly.
your right. And that to me is what an activist is. That to me is somebody fighting for human rights generally. But we all know that in this human
Exactly.
rights is a basket of other things put together. So if your proclivity push you on the side of being a feminist, if it's gonna make our society better, I am for it. But when it becomes a competition between the sexes and I'm here on the corner watching like what is going on here? I don't understand it anymore. It gets everyone confused. And I am one
Never.
of those that is generally open-minded. I want to know what you are up to, what your fight is all about. If I agree
Yes.
with you, I'll be on the street with you fighting for it. But if on average,
Yeah.
even women themselves are confused about feminism, I think people like you and other people that can actually explain better to somebody on the fence like me and other people that are even really willing to be on this journey together, it could be very helpful. And that brings me to the question, feminism, can a man be a feminist or is this something exclusively for women?
No, we do want you all to be feminists. We are very happy if men join the feminist movement because, well, it's as I said before, it's about women's rights, and women's rights are human rights. So if a man believes that any human being has human rights and the right to be equally treated and have equal opportunities, they should. It's
Hmm.
like equality for all ethnic backgrounds, equality also for women. So if men join our our movement, we are happy. We do invite you to try and understand what feminism means more. Do not be scared by some very extremist or very classic views of feminism or very white view of feminism. Try to learn more about it, and also, as we said before, societies where women have more rights, so they study, they work, more rights also on their bodies to be a mother, not to be a mother, how to be a mother. Are societies which do better because uh, then they are educated, they can also have power positions, so they even bring the feminine way of seeing things, so they enrich the discussion even in places where there are people in power. You know, now lately they don't do, they call them panels, you know, panels where all guys, it's all men, you know. They don't do that anymore. They started saying now no more panels. There should at least be one woman because she brings also a different way of seeing things. The same thing as
Absolutely.
a year ago or two, I went to a panel where it was five men. All of them were white, and it was on migration. So there was no woman, there was no women migrants, but there was no men migrants either. So we were three ladies. We were both from the diaspora. Three of us. We were from, and we spoke up. We said, "This is a panel, so there's no lady, there's no person with migrant background, and the panel is on migration. What's happening here?" So they had to apologize. The panelists apologized. So we spoke up. This is the only way that the next time the organizers will be ashamed and also call at least one woman and at least one person of migrant background where you discuss migration. So speak up, speak up, speak up on everything. That's my
Thank you so
advice.
very much, Yohamin. Thank you so very much. I'm really grateful. I thank you for the opportunity that you gave us to interview you today. It's a blessing for me. I
Most
have learned a
welcome.
lot. I have learned a lot, and I think the way you were able to explain what feminism, the idea that you showed us today, you explained to us today, for me, is something that embraces everybody, because I have been of this wrong knowledge that feminism, partly because of what I see, is an organization or a movement that is at war with men. Because what is the essence of feminism? I actually believe that ordinarily it was started by maybe women that got angry that what they expected from their men, they were not
Yes.
getting it. And
Yes.
it was, we could all agree that it started whereby other women and men in other parts of the world were staying in their chains. They do not have any rights. European women were voting, other men in some other parts of the world could not even vote. So when this doubt and everything comes into this discussion, I don't think it should be swept away or minimized as something that is not important. Because really, I am thinking for a woman in Malawi or Mozambique, or for, what is the relationship between feminism and her? Culturally, they are different. Even the examples you use in our discussion, I would love to see in the future whereby feminism would really be able to embrace the other cultural approach to things in life, the way people
Exactly.
approach their life culturally. But this is what your type of feminism, your idea of feminism proposes or push. The others out there that are very vocal, that we all know about, do not do none of this. So thank you for giving us this opportunity, and I hope that, I'm begging you, please, if accept
My
every
pleasure.
invitation, accept every invitation to push this idea. We need this form of feminism in our society, and it will be easy for us as
Okay.
well to be part of, because if this voice of reason,
I'll
like
do
you
my
have,
best.
and because we need voice of reasons like yours, like you have explained today. Because now I am confident, I am sure, I will even encourage anyone that I know about, both man or woman, to embrace the idea of feminism. But
Yeah.
with this way that you have explained it to us, it wouldn't be confusing why an African person will be a feminist in a European society when we had all gone through the same thing together. So it is clear, and I'm happy. Thank you for the possibility. And please, if people want to
Great.
get in touch with you, how would they find you?
Thank you, Pedro.
For those that want to get in touch with you,
They
how would they
can
find
find me
you?
on Instagram. Yohamin. This
Okay,
is my name. Just
okay.
at Yohamin.
At Yohamins on Instagram handle and on Facebook. Anyway,
Yes.
if you have any questions or any doubt, any
And
clarification
also,
concerning, mm-hmm,
yes, they can also find me on for the association at Lamia
okay,
Parte.
at Lamia
I
Parte.
don't know if I can write right. That would be the Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
I
Anyhow,
just wrote
when
it.
we, okay, we will post it on the video
I think I just
in
wrote it.
our, okay, at Yohamins.
Great.
It's not appear. Okay, now it does.
At Yohamin Instagram
Uh,
and at Lamia Parte Instagram.
okay, no problem. At the end of the day, we are going to put it on the description when we post the video later on. Anyway, we'll put every of your details, your
That's great.
profile, where they can get into. Yes, they really need to. They need to speak with an angel like you, somebody that will be able to give a better explanation and clear the doubts that is all in our mind. And
Right.
thank you, Yohamin. It's a pleasure for
Yes.
me to speak with a leader like you today,
Thank you,
because
Pedro.
you are a leader in your space, and we need more of you in Italy. We need more of you in Europe, and we need more of you in the entire world. I cannot express how happy I am to
Thank
have been able to interview you today, and I will please beg of you to please honor our invitation next time. Maybe next time we can even be three or four
I
in a
will.
panel and approach this discussion where
That
everybody
would
can
be nice.
express their view. because there are some people that will
That
have
would be
other
very
idea
nice.
that is different from mine. Okay.
Yes, of course. I would love that.
Okay. Thank you so very much, darling. I'm most
Thank
grateful.
you.
Have a lovely
Ciao.
day.
Have a nice
Bye
evening.
bye. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.